मैं पॉलिसी नहीं खरीदता हूँ just to keep it in my cupboard or keep it in a file. I want to ensure that there is a claim that is paid.
If I buy it through comparison website, through an insurance company, through the agent, through expert, through banks, the product will remain the same. Will the prices vary?
The worst place to buy insurance is banks. A lot of times there could be a skillful salesman who will make you feel that it is advice. That's where you need to be very careful about. At the time of claims specifically, an insurance company cannot be on your side. 90% of agents drop out from their agency in the first 3 years. Obvious है, because most of these agents don't know how to sell. I speak to so many experts who tell us that my business is not of insurance, my business is of claims. एकदम same है. The expert is that person. He is that CA of health insurance, if you can call that. मतलब what I'm trying to say here is,
hey everyone, welcome to Insurance Unfiltered Season 2. So in this video, we'll be covering where you should buy the insurance from. Yes, which policy to buy is important, but where are you buying from, that is extremely important. That's why this particular podcast. Well, why you should watch this video? Because unlike other channels, we are completely transparent. We do not earn any commissions. We do not earn through any ads. Hence, our content is 100% unbiased, milavat free. That's why this particular podcast, towards the end, you guys will be confident enough where you should buy the policy from. We have Mahavir with us today. Hi Mahavir.
yeah, hi Hitesh.
So Mahavir is here with us to clear all the confusions. So Mahavir, directly, आपसे पहला question.
Sure.
There are multiple places, like insurance website है, directly I can buy it from them, or insurance agents है, right? There are comparison platforms. और कौन सी जगह है जहाँ से मेरे को इंश्योरेंस मिल सकता है?
Right. So there are banks also where you can buy insurance from, and then there are apps also. There are a lot of apps where you can buy products.
I can buy it through banks also.
Yes. So banks also sell insurance actually, a sizable amount of insurance. In fact, in case of life insurance, they would be the second largest channel partner for insurance companies to sell insurance.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is shocking, literally. And so could you tell me what are the things that a person should look at while deciding where he or she should buy the policy from?
Right. So the most important thing would be quality of advice, right? So how many products is the advisor aware of? How many products can that advisor advise on is one of the most important things. Second is the kind of tools that whoever is selling is using to basically help the customer buy is another thing that is very important. That's the first thing.
Okay.
Second would be the credibility. This is going to be one of the most important things to look after. Basically, what credibility means is that how accountable is that person, whoever, it's an institution or an individual, at the time of claims, right? मैं पॉलिसी नहीं खरीदता हूँ just to keep it in my cupboard or keep it in a file. I want to ensure that there is a claim that is paid.
100%.
So credibility of that advisor, how much that advisor has actually has experience about claims and has track record about claims and can help people at the time of claims is very, very important.
Okay.
The third would be basically how much is the advisor good at hand-holding the customer at the time of buying the policy, right? Okay. And the fourth would be how much is the same advisor good at hand-holding and has a great track record of hand-holding customers at the time of claims, right? And the last one would be basically the cost that is incurred when you deal with a particular intermediary versus another intermediary, right? Okay. So these are typically 4-5 things that you should basically look at and compare before you decide whom to buy from.
Okay, so you have used the word advisor a lot,
right?
In the first 4 points.
Correct.
So specifically, like if we are seeing the policy, then this advisor is involved in all the places?
Right. So good you asked this question. So let us first understand the difference between a salesman and an advisor so that people understand, right? And that is, I think, the most important thing that someone should understand when they are looking at this podcast. Who's an advisor? Why I keep using the word as an advisor is because only someone who's going to give you advice on a complicated product like health insurance is someone whom you should deal with when you're buying insurance. A normal agent, right, who is typically selling you a policy is someone who's not advising you and he's just there to basically throw brands at you and tell you that sir ये product ले लो क्योंकि मैं इसका agent हूँ या ये product ले लो because ये product का brand अच्छा है. That guy is typically a salesman, right? So the biggest skill that a person needs to learn while deciding whom to buy and not to buy from is basically to be able to classify these two people and be able to understand that नहीं ये advisor नहीं लग रहा है, ये मेरे को advise नहीं कर रहा है, he's not trying to understand my needs, he's just here to sell something. So understand the difference between a salesman and an advisor.
So this is a legit a very good point because multiple people, many people, not multiple, many people they face problems.
Correct.
So let's do one thing, Mahavir. We take all these factors which you mentioned. Let's take them one by one, and you can elaborate on all the factors and let's analyze कि जितने भी platforms हमने discuss किए उनमें ये सारे factors कैसे implement होते हैं, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So first you told about the quality of advice.
Correct.
Customer first thing, right? So could you shed some light on that?
So basically, like what we are doing is that we are drawing out a kind of a table, right? A matrix table, which has on the left hand side is basically things like we are talking about all the parameters. And on the top column, we are basically going to talk about all the different players that are available, and then we'll rate them on this video.
Perfect.
Right? So let's start with that. So you're saying customer first, kaun hai, ya quality of advice, who's giving a good quality of advice. So basically, the first one that we can take here could be probably, let's say a comparison platform.
Okay.
Is that fine? You can start with comparison.
Works.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So comparison platforms, basically, what do? Right? They basically, in terms of span of products, they would rate very high, right? Because they would have literally almost every product in the market. Very few products, there could be possibility that they're not tied up with those insurance companies, and hence they may not be there. But typically, let's say if you're talking about the largest comparison website in the country, which is Policybazaar, they would literally have almost every insurance company that you and I would basically be wanting to look at. So the span of product is brilliant, right? The second comes to tools, right? So basically, tool is basically how does the platform help you decide on the product, or how does the call center person, whoever is talking to you from that platform, help you decide on the product. So what kind of tools is that person using to help you decide, right? In that, comparison platforms today, in my view, do not play a great role, because what they do is that they simply list all the products, right? So recently I was looking for someone's health insurance on one of these platforms, and I just put 2 adults, 1 child, and I put probably 30-31 years of age, and 90 products are there, right? List of 90 products came on the platform. So although it's a great thing, but if I am a regular user, I will get totally overwhelmed, and it's not giving me any advice as such. Then the advice comes down to basically the call center person who will call you, right? So ये तो बहुत ही normal चीज़ है, and everybody would have experienced this, that as soon as you use a comparison platform, most of the comparison platforms, you will get a phone call as soon as you put your number and go forward.
And not just one, multiple phone calls. Just to clear it out.
Yeah. And that is something that everybody knows. But what happens is that there also you see that, and this is based on our own surveys and my own experience of multiple years that I've been in this space, is that products that have a scheme going on for the call center guy who's selling, right? Some kind of incentive for the call center person who's selling, or some kind of incentive for the company which is selling, right? Those products get pushed on top. And there is no great logic why A product is recommended against B product, right? It's more about, sir, मैं बोल रहा हूँ ले लो, sir देखो ये कितना अच्छा है, and it is more of a sales, right? Like typically, let's look at how you go to a Croma, right? Or you go to a Vijay Sales. You go to a Vijay Sales and Croma, तुमको पता चल जाता है first 5 minutes में कि भाई इसको तो गोदरेज ही बेचना है, right? तुम ट्राई करोगे Whirlpool देखने का, तुम ट्राई करोगे basically कोई और product देखने का, but you can see him how he is basically manipulating content that is given to you by him to ensure that he use zero down back to Godrej. तो आप बोलोगे अरे इसमें ये नहीं सर, इसमें नहीं है, उसमें मिलेगा, ये अच्छा नहीं है सर, और कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, तो he can always scare you, or that person can scare you with saying that service नहीं अच्छा है सर इसका, right? So that play happens on most of the distribution platforms which are comparison platforms.
And as a customer, like I'll not be able to gauge कि ये मुझे बेचा जा रहा है, or like is it a genuine advice?
But today's customers have gotten quite smart, I would say. They understand that when sales is happening and when it's not happening, good percentage of them have been understood. But yes, you're right. A lot of times there could be a skillful salesman who will make you feel that it is advice, right? And that's where you need to be very careful about.
Okay, so based on these things, like we cannot say this is a customer first thing. Like the comparison platform, बहुत नीचे से
बहुत दूर है from being customer first to quite far. If let's say this same platform could have done things like asking you questions about your details about you, understanding your requirements, and then throwing exact products with exact sum insured, saying that these are the products that you should buy, then it would have worked. Like it would sound like a plug when I say this, but what we are doing with TrueMatch, right?
Yes.
Something similar like this could have been done by these websites, and then that really is value for a user, because वो 90 products में decide करने के लिए,
Possible.
for him it is
Yes.
humanly impossible.
100%.
And then that person has to depend upon the call center, which basically is incentivized to sell a particular product, and that's why this whole thing is a zero-sum game actually for the customer.
Nice. Gained some good insights. What about the banks? Banks में तो customer service
Banks
तो
to the worst place to buy insurance is banks.
What?
The worst place to buy insurance is banks. See what it's like buying. I am walking in DMart, right, and buying shampoo, right. And if I tell the guy who's standing in that, तुमने देखा होगा, there are people who are standing in those alleys,
besides
right?
right.
And you tell them that उसको पूछो तुम जाके कि इसमें कौन से chemicals है, उसको पता नहीं
कुछ
होगा,
नहीं पता होगा,
right? You tell him that ये अच्छा है, वो अच्छा है, वो बोलेगा सर ये अच्छा है सर, सबसे ज़्यादा सर ये बिकता है सर. That is all he would know or she would know, right? Banks are the DMarts of financial products, right? In my view, right? You just go to a bank, the bank guy is going to sell you insurance which has the highest commission or the highest rewards or the highest some kind of incentive for that person who's sitting there and selling insurance. They have no knowledge about the products, right? They are not trained, unfortunately, to understand the products also well. And the worst is that claims ke time pe they don't help you at all. Like you just do a mock, right? Go and act, go into a bank, enter a bank and just tell them that मैंने आपसे पॉलिसी खरीदी, claims है, क्या करना है? Immediately he'll probably tell you, सर मैं लिख के देता हूँ सर, ये इंश्योरेंस कंपनी का टोल फ्री नंबर है, इस पर आप कॉल कीजिए. यू कॉल ऑन दिस टोल फ्री नंबर और आई विल गिव यू, सर मेरा बैंक में मंडे वेडनेसडे को है ना, ये इंश्योरेंस कंपनी का पर्सन आता है, आप उनको मैं मिलाता हूँ आपको. That person does not know anything. They are just selling the product almost like how they would have sold. Probably कल अगर बैंक साबुन बेचना शुरू करेगा, जिस तरीके से वो बेचेगा, वैसे ही they are selling insurance.
Okay. मतलब before you telling like I didn't even know कि मैं बैंक से जाके health insurance.
Right.
But how big is it? Like ये बड़ा market है.
Huge. So span of products wise, they would be selling like 3 or 4 products only. And from tool perspective, to zero tools, right? They don't use any tools to compare and help you understand. Maximum some smart sales guy sitting in the bank would create like an Excel sheet or print out and tell you, sir, ये 3 product है, 4 product है. That's it. So there is no real advice that is going to happen to you. Is going to be given to you when you basically hit a bank and the bank is trying to sell you some insurance.
Okay, so two places we talked about and none of them were customer first. Let's now come to the company who makes the insurance. What about the insurance company?
So obviously see, companies का तो span of insurance तो 0 ही होगा या 1 होगा, वो खुद का ही product बेचेगा, so then that is the product that they will sell. The second is obviously the tools. Again, the tools will also zero down to the same product. If I am creating an insurance company called ABC Insurance Company or XYZ Insurance Company, so it is going to definitely sell the product which is available with me. It cannot show कि मेरे से better product तो मेरे बाजू वाली company का है, right?
Obviously.
That's not going to happen.
Yes.
So quality of advice wise or span of products wise, obviously it will get rated at almost 0 only, right? Because you should go to an insurance company to buy an insurance only when you have clearly understood that you want to buy from that insurance.
Logical.
Right.
Logical.
But quality of advice wise, you will only get more information about that product from the call center. And there is no surprise element when I say this, that obviously that person is going to be biased, who is going to explain you about that product कि सर मेरा product सबसे best है. वो तो आप खुद से try करके देख सकते हैं. You call up 4 insurance companies and tell them that आपका product सबसे best क्यों है, and all of them will give you different reasons why their product is best, which is very normal. Like buying a car, right? If I go to today Kia showroom and ask them Kia का गाड़ी अच्छा है, तो obviously they are going to say सर सबसे best गाड़ी मेरा है. Then you go to Skoda is going to say their गाड़ी is the best, right?
Yes. One thing which is coming to my mind, like they do not have a comparison tool, but what people can do, they can call this insurance company and ask कि अच्छा मेरे को तो ये वाला प्रोडक्ट अच्छा लग रहा है दूसरी इंश्योरेंस कंपनी का, तो दे विल गेट टू नो द
a lot of customers do that.
negatives also कि अच्छा ये नहीं होता.
Yeah, a lot of customers do that. A smart customer will do that. In fact, that's the best way to understand if you want to know the negatives. But that also would happen if you basically come across someone who has that kind of knowledge. Otherwise, there is a good possibility that that person would just give some wrong information to you. Right? That kind of depth of understanding, unfortunately, very few people in the call center have. I'm not saying that everybody in the call center is bad, but it's very rare. See, who works in a call center, right? Mostly people who typically there are 3 type of people that will work in a call center. One would be someone who basically not getting a job anywhere, and that's why he's got that as a job. Right? Second is basically someone who's just freshly joined a call center, because that person is basically now looking for a job, some kind of a job, right, as a first job. Third could be someone who's really, really passionate and wants to advise customers, but that's a very, very low number. And usually these guys become quality guys or trainers. or people who managers, someone like that, right? So आप जिससे बात कर रहे हो typically that person is going to be like a typical सेलू बोलते हैं जो बॉम्बे की लैंग्वेज में, कि इसको सेलू होगा वो एकदम.
तो now let's go to the last one, the agent. I hope कि यहाँ पे मुझे आंसर मिलेगा क्योंकि अभी तक तीनों में तो आंसर नहीं मिला. What about the agents?
एजेंट में भी दो टाइप के एजेंट होते हैं, राइट? एजेंट्स में देयर आर एजेंट्स हु टिपिकली do not have any knowledge about products. They are typically people who are someone in your family would also be some kind of that kind of a person who some insurance company has approached them that आप एजेंट बन जाओ, राइट? आप आपका काम कर रहे हो उसके साथ में आप एजेंट बन जाओ, right? And you sell products to your family members, right?
तो इसमें कुछ qualification required नहीं है कि?
Nothing, no qualification is required. Well, the qualification that is required is too less. It's 10th pass. You need to be just 10th pass to become an agent in India, right? You can start selling insurance policies if you just have a matriculate degree in India, right? So that person can start selling insurance. So anybody in your family can start selling insurance today. And mostly what happens in these cases when such kind of agents who are there in the market, which is a sizable percentage of the total number of agents that are available, these agents are not able to give quality advice because they neither have the knowledge, they don't have a span of products also because they are very very new, and so the insurance company का employee के जैसे ही है, that insurance company has just inducted that person. And in terms of tools, to forget it, meaning they would not be able to use the tool also even if it is available, right? So that is one kind of an agent. And then there is another kind of agent whom honestly I have a bias on. I'm being very honest because I have been in this space for a good number of years and I have seen that this person is probably the closest to the ideal person from whom you can get insurance. So span of products, typically they may not have a great span of products, but they will have a great span of knowledge of all the good products in the market. So probably they will sell 3 products, 4 products, but they will have a great span of understanding all other products in the market also, right? And they have basically friends, family through which they could get you to buy a product from someone else. Probably they'll not get commission. So span of products wise, they are good. From a tools perspective, it would be average. They would typically use an Excel sheet where they will compare on an Excel sheet and tell you what kind of products to buy. But these are typically very rare, knowledgeable people whom you can depend on, because these people not only help you understand the product, give you the right analysis, understand your needs, but also, which will come to later, but also help you at the time of claims. And because they help you at the time of claims, they have the depth to help you and give you good advice at the time of purchase. जिसको claims आता है ना, वो सबसे अच्छा advice दे सकता है आपको, right? Because claims में क्या फटता है, what is not, what you will not get, what is going to go wrong, right? All those things you should know to be able to advise at the earlier stage when you are actually buying the policy. So that's why those people have the decent span of and a decent span of actually being able to sell products, great span of being able to give you knowledge and advice about products.
Got it.
And in terms of tools, probably use very basic tools, right, which is like an Excel sheet or something like that. But overall, these people, if they have a good combination of the other parameters that we meant, could be the person that you should probably look at buying insurance from.
Understood. So in the first factor, like I believe the agent is winning because at least that particular person has
agent nahi, I would call agent and expert.
Expert.
So in the lines that you are including, we talked about basically comparison websites.
Yes.
We talked about banks.
Yes.
Right. Then we talked about
insurance website,
which is insurance company website.
Company website.
Then we are talking about agents, which are typical agents, neighborhood agents. The last one is experts. I would rate them separately.
Okay.
In fact, I would someday feel that they should be certified separately, right? Because so that people know that they are different from a regular agent.
Yes, the people fall for this thing ki we have IRDA certified.
Yeah.
I am IRDA certified.
Correct.
But
IRDA certification के लिए 10 भी पास होना जरूरी है.
तो ये तो वही बहुत ज़्यादा long हो गया.
Yeah. So your neighbor who basically has no qualification, no understanding of insurance, who has zero clue about claims, can be that IRDA certified insurance advisor.
Okay, so basically the expert in the first section, expert is winning. So let's move on to the second factor now.
Yeah.
Right? I hope everything is covered in the first section.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's come to the second section. And in the second section, you told about the thing which is credibility, right? And यहाँ पे मुझे बहुत सारी चीजें पूछने के लिए.
Correct.
So let's first understand कि what do you mean by credibility in health insurance?
In credibility basically means that a lot of people will vouch for you that you have given good services to them. So credibility is basically that person is really accountable to whatever promises that person is making, and that person has a track record of basically meeting his promises, right? Meeting her promises. So basically that is a person who's, in my view, is a credible person versus a person who's not a credible person.
So in this, can I, you clear the doubt, like I have this doubt कि can I put in the brand
Yeah.
कि banks की तो brand है,
Correct.
तो banks तो credible होंगे.
Yeah.
Is
So,
it
yeah,
right?
so it's not like that. Brand and credibility, in my view, are two different things.
Okay.
A brand can be really credible, but may not be good enough in insurance service related credibility, right? I may be a great bank, right, and I may be offering the best banking solutions, but insurance is not a core solution that a bank offers. So in case of insurance, that bank may not have the credibility to A, advise, and B, actually support the customer at the time of claims.
Understood. So what about the other three?
Yeah, so if you look at comparison websites, definitely see there is a reasonable rating that I would give to comparison websites for credibility. A lot of good work is done by comparison websites also on credibility, but finally the only issue that arises is that at scale, right, when a comparison website becomes really big, the scale problem is that you will end up as a customer talking to a toll-free number, right, at a large company. And what happens is that when you talk to a toll-free number, you know what happens, right? In India, when you're talking to a toll-free number, that person is typically does not have any, would basically be good at giving you yes or no answers, or answers which are basically based on the FAQ and the script that has been provided to that person who's selling. But that person will not be able to help you with an opinion about क्या ये पे होना चाहिए था, नहीं होना चाहिए था claim, या आपको ये नहीं लिखना है या ये लिखना है. That level of understanding is not available for that person, because that person is neither trained, not qualified, not experienced to be able to actually answer those questions well for you, where there is a judgment to be given, where there is expertise involved.
Yes.
So credibility of the brand could be great, but the person who's actually giving you the advice is not the brand. It is a person. And that human or the person, उसका credibility बहुत ही lower than average है.
That only matters, because मैं जिस पे buy कर रहा हूँ, that only matters.
Exactly. So if that person is a fresher, someone who has just got 2 months of experience of selling insurance, or probably 4 weeks of training in insurance, उसने खुद ने probably अभी तक policy नहीं खरीदी है, never seen claims in their life, for their own self, forget for clients, right? That person cannot be called a person with a great credibility. That person's credibility probably is not even 1 out of 10.
Understood.
Yeah.
So I know कि based on a conversation, I can deduce कि which place or person will have the credibility. But still, let's discuss about the insurance website.
So insurance website पे कैसा है कि आप जिससे insurance company की तो credibility तो high होगी, right? Because if you see from a point of view, that from a brand point of view, from a fact that they've got a license from the regulator and all that, the credibility is high as a brand, right? But in terms of basically finally being able to give you advice at the time of purchase and claims, there is a conflict of interest, right? At the time of claims specifically, an insurance company cannot be on your side. Like even if you think that there is a 0.1% possibility, I would say even that is a wrong estimate, right? Because see, please understand, for a insurance company, a claim is a loss, right? Directly P&L पे hit होता है उनका claim. जितने claims आएंगे, they are going to basically have losses that they will have to pay through their shareholder money, right? तो उस जब वो होता है, तो then it's very difficult that there is no conflict of interest at the time of sale, specifically at the time of claims, कि आपको वो जो person है, even if that person is a credible person, has all the knowledge, will be able to give you the advice which is in your interest, right? So that is also again a problem. So again, with insurance companies also, you are going to speak to a call center only, and the call center person again would be someone who will give you same yes or no answers, plus there is a conflict of interest on that added, right? So it becomes very, very complicated for anybody to be able to actually depend on an insurance company's call center to take decisions, specifically after buying the policy, when a claim will come.
So I haven't seen it in this way, like it's a loss for the very, very logical, it's a loss. Is it how big, for example, कि if 100% health insurance is being sold in India, kitna, what will be the percentage which is being sold directly by the insurance company? Because
बहुत कम
होगा,
क्या
right?
है in
है ना?
most insurance companies it's a one digit number.
हाँ,
Very few insurance companies there will be a two digit number. That way the insurance
logical.
companies जो है two digit number उनके case studies बन रहे हैं कि मतलब they've reached two digit numbers, right?
Got it.
Also what you just mentioned, right, which is basically that the loss part, right, where you said the loss part, this lot of people don't understand. जब मैं बैंक से पैसे विड्रॉ करता हूँ या जब मैं म्यूचुअल फंड रिडेम्पशन करता हूँ, राइट, दैट इज नॉट अ लॉस फॉर द म्यूचुअल फंड कंपनी और फॉर द बैंक. मैं फिक्स डिपॉजिट रिड्यूस करता हूँ, मेरी लिक्विडिटी कम हो रही है एज अ बैंक और एज अ म्यूचुअल फंड कि मेरे को जब भी म्यूचुअल फंड से विड्रॉ मनी, दैट गाय द फंड मैनेजर विल हैव टू सेल यूनिट्स and give you the money. तो उतना inconvenience है, but it's not a loss.
Yes.
And that's why it's very easy if you see to break an FD, and it's as very easy to redeem funds on a mutual fund.
Yes.
But it's not easy to get claims.
Yes.
Why? Because claims is a loss for the insurance company.
100%. So let's talk about the agent and the expert.
Right.
What do you want to say on that?
Agent की तो credibility कुछ भी नहीं है. There is no credibility at all. See, you have to understand a lot of people become agents because some insurance company employee has forced them to become an agent, or it is out of compulsion that they want to make some money, right? Sometimes it could be a family member it could be a member in your family, right? But still I would ask people to basically not bite into the temptation of basically obliging their family members के अरे हमसे ले लेते हैं क्योंकि आगे जाके you are not going to get any support. 100%. Most of the times, how do you find out that these people don't understand insurance? Is that they will not sell it themselves. When you call them to your house or to buy, or maybe on a video call, the bank, the insurance company's guy will also be there on the call. So he will say, sir, मैंने तो customer लेके आ गया, अभी आप बेचो इसको, right? So there will be an RM of the insurance company who will accompany that agent, and that insurance company RM will answer all the questions because this guy knows nothing.
Yes.
The insurance company is using this person to just get more customers and leads, और फिर RM बेचेगा. So
got it.
Do not buy from, very clearly, I don't mind saying this, do not buy from anybody who does not understand insurance. Is just using you as a contact and getting someone else to sell you. Yes. Because वो बंदा job छोड़ के चले जाएगा RM, and this guy does not know anything insurance, and you will directly have to then deal with this on your own.
Now the expert, the last
right.
one which is left. I hope this
meaning, see, definitely, see, although a lot of people who watching this will feel is that everything is moving towards that, but the point that it comes to that is someone is becoming a professional, right? Yes. Someone is, it's like मैं टैक्स फाइल करना है मुझे, तो सीए है, राइट? तो दैट सीए वुड नो बेटर देन, मैं टैक्स फाइल करना है, मैं बैंक से टैक्स फाइल करूंगा? नहीं करूँगा. मैं कोई कॉल सेंटर से टैक्स फाइल करवाऊंगा? नहीं करूँगा. मैं किससे करवाऊंगा? सीए से करवाऊंगा. वो सीए किससे करवाऊंगा? जिसको आता है फाइल करने का, और वो दो जगह पे मेरे को हेल्प करेगा, राइट? टैक्स फाइल करने के लिए हेल्प करेगा. एंड एट द टाइम ऑफ कब इंक्वायरी आएगी तो देन दैट पर्सन इज स्टैंडिंग विथ मी टू इंश्योर दैट ही आंसर्स ऑल द क्वेश्चंस.
100%.
एकदम सेम है. एक्सपर्ट इज दैट पर्सन, इज दैट सीए ऑफ health insurance, if you can call that, with due respect. मतलब what I'm trying to say here is basically this person is committed to the profession, right? कि भाई मैं यहाँ पे नहीं हूँ for a quick buck, neither am I here to quickly sell something and just vanish, or probably this is not just one more way of making money. This is my bread and butter, right? Yes. So that's why it makes a lot of difference. Yeah. So sorry, but what exactly is that? Have I missed anything that I should have answered?
No, it's
about credibility that you're talking
credibility, about, right? Like in all the five now,
correct,
all the five places, platforms, comparison, etc. Which one holds the highest credibility, and which particular platform or place should the customer choose? Correct.
So typically we recommend that you should have a minimum 5 years of experience. You should take an advisor who has minimum 5 years experience. And something that very recently I came to know is that 90%, and this is something that I still need to verify with actual data, but I'm hearing this multiple times, is that 90% of insurance agents drop out from their agency in the first 3 years.
What?
90% of agents drop out from their agency in the first 3 years. So obvious hai, because most of these agents don't know how to sell. Neither they have given a proper training, and they just have contacts, right? They are not people who are actually salespeople. They are just having contacts. They have some family members. So insurance companies use them to just get all the leads that they can get. And after 2-3 years, they're not able to do business. They're not able to get more and more customers. Hence, they don't earn any money. And then the insurance company only sends them notice that by you have not done any business for the last 1 year. So you need to basically drop out. But 90% is the number that I've recently heard, is the 90% of advisors, agents drop out in the first 3 years. That's why minimum 5 years is something that you should look at. Second is full time hona chahiye. That person should be full time into insurance. That person cannot be part time into insurance. कि वो पूरा दिन job कर रहा है. In the evenings or weekends he's selling insurance. That kind of person you should not deal with. You know, you may like to support that kind of a person because you will feel कि अरे नहीं यार ये तो मेरा दोस्त है, family है. But please understand that this is not it is not something very small. You're buying a policy for 30-40 years and it's a complex product at the time of buying and at the time of claims. It's similarly like a CA, right? कोई CA है जो CA पास ही नहीं किया है और उसको आता भी नहीं है बराबर से इंश्योरेंस, बट वो मेरा भाई है तो मैं उससे करवा लूंगा क्या मेरा फाइल रिटर्न? नहीं कराऊंगा. आई विल गेट इट डन फ्रॉम द राइट पर्सन बिकॉज आई डोंट वांट things could go down right now and then at the time of inquiry.
100%.
Right? So exactly that's the best example that I could have given. So here it fits perfectly, credibility wise and accountability wise. A good expert who has the right kind of experience and track record and basically someone who's as a profession does this is going to have the highest credibility.
Got it. So based on all the platforms, again the expert wins in the credibility section also.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the handholding.
Yeah.
The third point which you told, ki handholding during purchase process.
Correct.
Definitely very, very important. As a customer, health insurance is literally very complex.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for me to understand it. So handholding is required. See, if we compare all these places, platforms, where do they stand?
Yeah. So let's go one by one. So basically the first one is comparison websites, right? Handholding on comparison websites, decent, not bad.
Okay.
There can be situations where you end up with someone who is very fresh and someone who is very not very experienced in understanding the policy wordings, and it purely depend on the kind of training that has been given to him and has been taken by that person, right? Because a lot of times you get training but you don't take training.
Yes.
So all those parameters would be important to understand. To basically, you need to be lucky to be coming into the right hands in a comparison website to someone who will ensure that you fill the proposal form correctly. So basically handholding at the time of handholding with a comparison website, you need to be lucky to be able to get through the right person who will basically help, but you can also get unlucky and get in the hands of someone who's just focused on ensuring that a policy gets issued. Because please understand that these people who are in the comparison platforms and basically people who are call center guys, their incentives are aligned to issuance of the policy, right? And when the incentives are aligned to issuance of the policy, even for short term, then they will focus on policy getting issued, right? And as soon as they focus on policy getting issued, they may probably ensure that you don't inform something to the insurance company.
Yes.
So that the policy gets issued. So again, interests are not aligned, right? And because interests are not aligned with the customer का interest है कि मुझे claim मिले. Insurance agent या जो भी वो call center agent का aim है कि policy issue हो जाए. And they are two different things that a lot of people don't understand. So you have to basically buy from someone who is also aligned with you in terms of claims instead of policy issuance. Right? The second is banks, right?
Yes.
Banks में तो मतलब again, like I said, they are just like a मेगा मल्टीप्लेक्स सेलिंग मल्टीपल प्रोडक्ट्स, अलग अलग स्क्रीन पे अलग अलग कुछ फिक्स, किसी पे स्क्रीन पे फिक्स डिपॉजिट बिक रहा है, किसी स्क्रीन पे कुछ और चल रहा है, किधर कोई और मूवी चल रही है. तो बेसिकली दे डोंट ऑनेस्टली, आई वुड टू द एक्सटेंट से दैट आई हैव नॉट स्टिल हर्ड फ्रॉम समवन दैट दे इवन केयर कि वो प्रपोजल फॉर्म सही से भरा जाता है कि नहीं भरा जाता है, राइट? They are purely looking at it like an FD form, or they are looking at it as a KYC form. कि सर यहाँ 4 जगह साइन कर लीजिए and then you will fill the form, or they will say that सर आप भर लीजिए, we will do it. There is a lot of diligence required when you are buying a policy and the kind of proposal form, how it is filled, right? बहुत ज़्यादा hand holding की ज़रूरत है. They are not equipped. बैंक के employees are not equipped, trained, experienced enough to be able to do that. So इसीलिए बहुत ही rare chance है तो हो सकता है. तो I would rate again at 1 out of 10 in terms of banks से hand holding expect करना.
Got it.
Right.
So proposal form you mentioned, like if you can give one question in the proposal form which definitely these bank guys,
medical history definitely medical history के case में आप देखोगे कि they would not, there is an expert would ask you at least 5-6 questions to fill the medical history. They will also scare you कि सर अगर आपने बराबर नहीं लिखा तो ये प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा, वो प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा. And a salesman would basically say कि सर आप भर दो आपके हिसाब से, बराबर से भरना. That difference is there between the two. So basically someone who's casual, you will see in terms of medical history, lifestyle information, height, weight information, or basically even things like PIN code, occupation, all these things matter when an insurance company is deciding whether to give you a policy or not. So proposal form as a whole, the person how he's dealing with it can give you the right signals. If he's just telling you कि ये लो paper sign करो, that person से भाग जाओ, दूर भाग जाओ. And दूसरी side पे if there is a person who's telling you sir बराबर से भरना, मैं भरूंगा, आप पहले details दो, then you check, he's almost making it like a proper exercise, then it is a completely different thing.
Okay, so one direct question, तो banks why are they selling the policy? मतलब क्यों भेज रहे हैं?
Commission मिल रहा है, there is a great revenue stream for them, so they are selling. मतलब honestly that is the only answer. Like for a customer there is no reason to buy from a bank. I would be very frank about it.
Because till now we are on the third factor and none of the factors supported the banks. Okay. What about the insurance website, insurance company website? Do they handhold throughout the purchase process? And what about the agent and the expert?
So it's all depending or going to be dependent on the person who's going to actually handhold you when you're buying the policy, right? If the person at the call center is slightly knowledgeable, then that could be possible. But in most cases, there are people who would again be aligned to getting the policy issued, right? So the chances of you getting the right advice is 50-50 in my view. There is a good chance that you are handholded properly at the time of purchase of the policy, and there could be situations where it could probably be done in a hurry, right? So when you're buying from an insurance company, you will have to be very diligent. You will have to ensure that you have understood everything properly. You need to read the proposal form properly, even if that person is rushing you to buy the policy quickly and telling you that sir, aap OTP de do. Like today, basically OTP is the new form of signatures in case of proposal form. पहले proposal form में आप हाथ से sign करते थे, उसके बाद basically submit करके sign करते थे. अभी now most insurance companies required to give an OTP. That OTP will actually tell you that when you are giving that OTP, it will tell you that when you give this OTP, it basically means that all the information provided so far has been read by you, accepted by you, and you're submitting this proposal form, and then you give that OTP to the person who's actually the person who's helping you buy the policy. और फिर वो punch कर रहा है आपके लिए policy, right? That could be one situation. And the second situation could be where you are only doing it. So whenever you're giving the OTP yourself, that is the signature.
Got
right?
it.
So you will have to be very careful if you're buying from anybody who is not aligned to your interest. Then you will have to ensure that you obviously are taking care of that. So you need to do the hard work and do the 100%. Heavy lifting. That way.
Like if I would buy the policy, I'll not go directly with the insurance company. मुझे पता है ना कि this company itself has to give me the money. I know कि there might be chances कि कुछ इधर उधर हो जाए during the purchase. During the purchase, right?
So there are good credible insurance companies जहाँ पे आपको बराबर से handholding मिलेगा भी, right? But still you cannot depend on that because finally it's a call center.
100%. Yeah. After 10 years, I'm realizing कि something I have not mentioned in the medical history you told.
Correct.
Something I have not mentioned. 10 years after 10 years, I'll realize. Okay. And what about the agent and the expert?
So agent, again, if that agent is using a person who's like the RM of the insurance company to fill the proposal form, which is usually the case, then that RM's capability would be basically something that will have to be checked, right? In most cases, my experience has been is that RM's knowledge about insurance themselves is like RM is the relationship manager who is an employee of the insurance company. Their knowledge we would rate, if I have to compare it to basically experts that we work with, right? I would rate them at 4 out of 10 compared to like our experts would be like at 9 out of 10. That is the relative difference in their understanding of products, their own company, their own employer's products is not very great, right? But they understand proposal form for sure. So they know how to get the proposal form filled. But again, alignment of interest, वहाँ पे भी for an RM policy issuance is directly linked to targets and targets is directly linked to rewards and incentives. Again, interests are not directly aligned. So that could be the reason why probably there are a lot of cases where so many cases that happen where customer comes and says that मैंने तो सब कुछ बताया था but proposal form में mentioned नहीं है. I mentioned things to my agent but the agent did not fill the proposal form properly. Mostly these kind of cases where the agent does not understand and there is someone else who is aligned to basically just getting the policy issued. That way.
Got it.
So again here also you will have to be that person who will have to play the role of an expert yourself and be that Sherlock Holmes जो सब कुछ देखेगा, बराबर से समझेगा, सब पढ़ेगा अच्छे से, सब एक एक टर्म्स को गूगल करके पता करेगा कि what should be answered, or come on Beshak forum and ask on Beshak forum, say that how do I answer this question, and then do that whole hard work and heavy lifting yourself if you are basically going to do it through someone who's not an expert.
No.
वही है, अगर आप इनकम टैक्स खुद से फाइल करोगे, मतलब मैं खुद चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट हूँ, बट एवरी ईयर व्हेन द टाइम कम्स टू फाइल टैक्स आई स्टार्ट फाइलिंग टैक्सेस माई सेल्फ, बिकॉज आई थिंक दैट मैं तो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट में खुद को करना चाहिए. फिर मैं आधा घंटा डालता हूँ एक वीकेंड में, फिर 1 घंटा डालता हूँ, फिर मेरे को रियलाइज होता है नहीं भाई कुछ तो मिस्टेक हो जाएगी, देन आई कॉल माई CA एंड टेल हिम दैट ले लो आप ही करो.
100%.
That way.
So that means like the last one,
Yeah.
which you talk about the expert. Definitely, for me, if you'll say, I'll
Yeah.
go with the expert.
Yeah.
What could you little bit explain, elaborate on the expert part? Like how do they handhold?
See, the expert's job is, and their entire livelihood comes from being known for claims, right? तो वो इसीलिए proposal form सही भराते हैं, because they know कि when a claim comes and if there is a mistake in the proposal form and that leads to a claim not getting paid, then they are only going to get the fatka from the customer saying that अरे ये क्या तुमने बताया नहीं, ये नहीं किया, and their reputation is giving them more business. राइट. तो एक्सपर्ट अगर प्रोफेशनल है और वो मतलब करियर प्रोफेशनल है एंड दैट इज देयर मेन जॉब, राइट, देन दैट पर्सन विल बेसिकली इंश्योर दैट थिंग्स आर फिल्ड इन प्रॉपर्ली. लाइक अगेन आई एम गिविंग द सेम एग्जांपल प्रॉब्ली दैट अगर आप CA के पास जाओगे और अच्छा CA है तो आपको वो प्रॉपर तरीके से आपको भरवाएगा, आपका इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न टैक्स भी भरवाएगा आपसे. आप बोलोगे अरे कम कर दो, तो बोलेगा नहीं यही भरो, राइट, कंपेयर टू सम अदर CA हु कुड बी देयर हु इज प्रॉब्ली नॉट अ गुड CA वुड से आप बताओ कितना टैक्स भरना है, तो मैं उस हिसाब से रिटर्न बना देता हूँ. That's not a good CA. Right?
Yes.
So someone who's hand-holding you properly is someone who's a professional.
I'll give you a real life example here. Like in 2022, I was filing taxes. With the CA example, I'll give you. I was filing taxes. There was one CA in my hometown, Jodhpur. He used to charge around 300 rupees, only 300 rupees for filing ITR.
Achha.
And on the other hand, there was a CA. She used to work in Deloitte and then she opened her own company, etc.
Correct.
For doing these things. So I approached her, and at that time this new tax regime was not there. So this HRA thing was very is very famous, you know, in ITR. So I was telling her, I was in Chennai metro city. So I was telling her, tier 1 city basically. So if you can increase my HRA, how would the company know, etc. Like she fought with me for at least 1 to 2 hours कि मैं तो नहीं करूँगी.
Exactly.
And at the same time, my brother, like he lives in Jodhpur himself, he did it, and that 300 rupees वाला CA, उसने सीधा बोल दिया कि हाँ ठीक है, okay, no problem. Straight away he did it. So this difference is there कि she straight away rejecting कि you don't give me money, I don't want it, because at the time कि कुछ भी फटेगा तो I need to tackle that. Hence I'll not do it.
Exactly. So what are you optimizing for? You are optimizing for quick, short term, less fees wala service which gives you immediate quick solutions, or are you looking at 10 years from now not having an inquiry coming from the income tax department कि अरे ये तुम गलत लिखा है, अभी इतना interest भरो, इतना penalty भरो. Which one do you want, right? If you want the first one, there are solutions and advisors available. If you want the second one, solutions and advisors. Similarly, this is almost sounding like a tax wala podcast, but similarly, it is exact example.
Yes.
Similarly, how the proposal form is filled, how claims will happen after 10 years. It is an exact example of why you should probably even pay more if it is required, but take an expert advisor's help.
Got it. So we have covered till the purchase, right? We have told about the customer first. Then we have discussed the span of product tools. We have compared across all these places, platforms, 4-5. Then you talked about the credibility. Brand is not equals to credibility, as Mahavir has explained. And then we have also talked about the hand-holding during purchase. Now let's talk about the most important thing. जिसके लिए I am buying the policy. Claims. Hand-holding during claims, how does it differ across the places?
So again, let's start with expert now, because what times हम उल्टा जा रहा है. So hand-holding from an expert, you can expect very good hand-holding, because like I said, उनका reputation, उनका जो आगे का धंधा है actually, जो उनका आगे whatever word of mouth they will get. Like I speak to so many experts who tell us that my business is not of insurance, my business is of claims, right? The more I help customers settle claims, the more they talk about me,
Yes.
and I get more customers. I don't get more customers for selling policies. I get more customers when I sell, when I actually get claims settled.
Yes.
Right. In fact, I met an advisor recently in one of the screenings that we did at Beshak. He has an Excel sheet where he maintains all the claims that he has settled so far. And he maintains his own personal claim settlement ratio. कि सर मेरा खुद का जो customers है उसका claim settlement ratio 99% है. So these are those kind of people, right, who are passionate about ensuring that their business is of claims and not of basically insurance policy selling, right? So उनको side में रखता है. Honestly, if you look at them, if you find the right advisor, मैं तो बोलूँ उनको गले लगा लो और भाई तुमको मिल गया तुमको जो right person है, you will have good sleep at night because you have found the right person. And such people are available in the market. You just have to find. जितना मेहनत पॉलिसी ढूंढने में लगा रहे हो उतना ही मेहनत लगाओ एक्सपर्ट ढूंढने में. Is very very important is what I say.
Very important.
Then we'll talk about the others.
Okay.
Insurance companies at the time of claims will just help you to the extent of procedural help. Next step क्या है, क्या करना है, कौन सा पेपर देना है, because they are the same people whom you are fighting with for the claim. The same people whom you are taking process knowledge also from. So there, so that conflict of interest plays out very very heavily, right? You will see, just go and stand out of any हॉस्पिटल, बड़ा हॉस्पिटल के बाहर जहाँ पे एडमिशन डेस्क होता है, वहाँ पे जाके खाली खड़े रहो एक आधे घंटे के लिए और देखो कोई ना कोई तो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी के साथ लड़ रहा होगा, राइट? कि मेरा क्लेम नहीं मिला, मेरा अभी तक, मैं 1 घंटे से वेट कर रहा हूँ, कर रही हूँ, ये नहीं हुआ, वो नहीं हुआ, या कोई अपना हॉस्पिटल डेस्क से बात कर रहा है, चिल्ला रहा है, वो हो रहा है. सो ये होना है बिकॉज दैट इज द टाइम वेयर देयर इज अ खींचातानी बिटवीन टू पीपल. वन पर्सन वांट्स द क्लेम, द अदर पर्सन वांट्स टू सेव फ्रॉम लॉसेस. सो दैट फाइट एंड टसल हैपेंस. तो वो तो भूल ही जाओ. In my view, there are good insurance companies who also feel that they are in the business of claims, but still the conflict of interest remains, right? So on the scale of 1 to 10, expecting great claims advice from an insurance company, I would rate it at around 4. Right? But if you're saying pure claims support, then it would depend upon insurance company to insurance company. There are great insurance companies which would give you proper hand holding. You have the right team जो बताएगा सर अभी आपको ये पेपर देना है, वो पेपर देना है. बट क्लेम नहीं पेएबल है या क्लेम ग्रे एरिया में, डोंट एक्सपेक्ट दैट इंश्योरेंस कंपनी टू से सर मैं आपके साथ आपके लिए लड़के सर अंदर से क्लेम लेके आता हूँ. ऑब्वियसली दे आर नॉट एबल टू डू दैट. दैट पर्सन विल गेट अ फ्लैग फ्रॉम इनसाइड, राइट? मतलब हमने रिजेक्ट किया, तू कौन है भाई क्लेम पे करवाने वाला है? तो दैट पर्सन कैन नॉट प्ले दैट रोल. That individual as a employee cannot play that role. So forget that. That is not possible. Then we come to banks. Right? तो मालूम है आपको मेरा फेवरेट, अभी तक तो पता चल ही गया होगा. तो banks give you zero claim service. Zero claim service. Yes. I just mentioned right some time back that just walk into a bank and just do a mock. एक ऐसे ही नाटक करो, जाके ड्रामा करो कि अरे मैंने तो आपसे पॉलिसी लिया था, क्लेम आया, कोई इंश्योरेंस कंपनी रिप्लाई नहीं कर रहा है, क्या करूँ? तो दे विल प्रॉबेबली टेल यू सर कि ये लो, ये ईमेल एड्रेस है सर, इसके ऊपर लिख दो, या तो दे विल से सर टोल फ्री नंबर पे फ़ोन करो. दे डोंट हैव एनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग. दे आर नॉट ट्रेन्ड टू हेल्प पीपल फॉर क्लेम्स. देयर जॉब इज टू सेल, लाइक बाकी चीज़ें वो लोग बेच रहे हैं, म्यूचुअल फंड बेच रहे हैं, वैसे दे आर सेलिंग इट विदाउट अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट द कस्टमर एक्चुअली नीड्स हेल्प एट द टाइम ऑफ क्लेम्स, राइट? देन कम्स द फाइनल वन विच बेसिकली टॉक अबाउट एग्रीगेटर्स, राइट? कंपैरिजन वेबसाइट्स अभी बहुत इंप्रूव हुई है. मतलब आई वुड से, if I would say 10 years ago to 5 years ago to now, I think a lot of seriousness has come towards claims because they have also realized that अगर हम claims में help नहीं करेंगे customers को, so there will be a big issue. So you will definitely get fairly better service now compared to 5 years ago, I would say, in claims from a aggregator or a comparison website. But still, it will boil down to the person whom you are speaking to, right? Again, वही problem आएगी, and that person is just an employee who is doing his tasks for the day. उसको 100 कॉल आ रहे हैं दिन के, उसको 100 कॉल में एक कॉल आपका आया है, दैट पर्सन हैज टोल्ड कि सर मेरा क्लेम पे नहीं हो रहा है, सर मेरा क्लेम पे नहीं हो रहा है. उसके लिए वो 100 में से एक हुआ, एंड दैट पर्सन हैज टू नाउ डिसाइड वेदर ही इज गोइंग टू वर्क 2 hours मोर टू हेल्प यू, और ही कैन जस्ट टेल यू सर आप इस ईमेल एड्रेस पे डाल दो, जैसे बैंक बोलता है, एंड आई विल टेक केयर ऑफ इट, और सर मैं आपका एस्केलेट कर रहा हूँ आपका कंप्लेन, आपको दूसरा कॉल आ जाएगा, राइट? दोज काइंड ऑफ सर्विसेज यू गेट, राइट? मीनिंग विच इज टिपिकली लाइक जैसे हम जियो या वोडाफोन में कॉल करते हैं, राइट? कि मेरे को नेटवर्क नहीं मिल रहा है, राइट? तो कैसे आपको जवाब मिलता है? सर मैं तो आप मेरे कनेक्शन टीम या नेटवर्क टीम से आपका कंप्लेन एस्केलेट कर रहा हूँ, एंड वी विल सी टू इट दैट इट गेट्स रिजॉल्व्ड, रियली सॉरी फॉर द इनकन्वीनियंस. फिर को होता नहीं है कुछ, राइट? तो वैसी वाली सर्विस यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम बेसिकली a call center in a large number of cases, but you could you could end up lucky sometimes and get good service also. To be fair about that. And like I said, it has improved for sure. There is a consciousness that has come that a lot of people now, a lot of companies now basically have improved their claim services.
So in this, two questions I have. One is ki there are certain these aggregators, comparison platforms. They straight away say ki we have a claim person who will be by your side,
Correct.
who will visit your house, who will visit the hospital, etc., etc. We will give you 24/7 claim assistance service. So is it like ki still even after these things it is just a marketing gimmick, or like genuinely we get this?
हाँ, मतलब scale level पे अगर आप try कर रहे हो through using employees to basically help you with claims, that person has to be aligned, incentives have to be aligned in a particular way that his job is to ensure that the customer gets successful outcomes. Right? और वो usually बहुत ही मुश्किल से मैंने देखा है कि ये हुआ है. Like the person who is helping you at the time of claim has been told that उसको इतने tickets आएंगे उसको solve करना है. I don't think, and I would be really happy if someone actually replies to this and say कि हमारे यहाँ पे ऐसा process नहीं है.
Legit, yes.
But I would say that most of the cases what happens is that it is about tickets and solving those tickets. It's not about इतने लोगों के इतने complaints and you have achieved outcomes for them. Right? When that happens, then probably that thing could change. But today, most of the cases I have heard from people that ये जो 24/7 है या जो claims service in 1 hour hai, they're typically mobile numbers that half of the times people don't pick up and all that. I've heard these things, right? But I'm not the right person to answer that question to a judgment level. But I would still say that probably you can make a test, right? You can do a test and tell them that I want to basically talk to someone. I don't have the policy number. Call up the call center and say I don't have the policy number. I'm in this area. Please help me with someone doing a callback. I want to get a claims. पूछ करके पता कर सकते हैं. But I would still say because it is run by us at a scale operations, I would still not rate it very high. I would not depend on it as a person after so many years of experience. कि वहाँ से कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा experience मिल सकता है. उसका और एक reason है कि जब आप scale पे करते हो, when you do it at scale, how many people can you hire who will actually have the understanding of claims and the understanding of policies, products to be able to give you the right kind of advice कि ये claim wrongly ये wrongly payable ही है सर, नहीं payable है, या ये payable है सर, मैं लड़ता हूँ आपके लिए. वो करने के लिए पहले तो आपको product आना चाहिए, फिर आपको regulation आना चाहिए, फिर आपको technicalities आनी चाहिए, उसके बाद आपको basically ये सब करने के बाद आपको मालूम होना चाहिए कि कैसे grievance होना चाहिए, और उसके बाद skin in the game होना चाहिए. Right? You should have skin in the game कि भाई मेरे को करना है ये, कि मेरे को नहीं, मेरे को टास्क के लिए नहीं करना है कि नहीं yes no नहीं करना है. I want to actually help the person. That skin in the game is something which is very rarely possible in a scaled operations where there are thousands and thousands of people hired.
Basically for the person who जिसका वो bread and butter नहीं है.
Exactly.
तो वो नहीं करेगा. It's as simple as that.
मुश्किल है. कोई मिल गया अच्छा आदमी.
Definitely, yes.
कर ले शायद.
Some employees are good. Yes.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
And this will influence their handholding during claims, or it doesn't.
It depends, honestly. If there is a good insurance intermediary who's really looking at long term, right, and wanting to actually make a name out of helping customers with claims, then that intermediary would not take the insurer's interest as the higher interest. It will look at the customer's interest. But hey, there is that conflict whether I should help the insurance company or should I help the customer. That thing, intermediary always keeps facing that conflict, right? That exactly the reason why we created Beshak, right? I mean, I saw this happening with my own, in front of my own eyes, where we were basically trying to help the customer, but we were interacting with a lot of insurance companies on a day-to-day basis as a distributor. I was an intermediary, right? And I saw with my own eyes me changing as a person and my interest moving from being a person who is customer centric to becoming gradually someone who is balancing and then gradually swaying towards the insurance company, because I'm meeting insurance companies every day. Yes. And they are masters as influencing distributors, right? उनका काम है कि distributors को influence करना. Right? So इंश्योरेंस कंपनी में अगर 100 लोग होंगे तो उसमें से 80 लोग मेरे को लगता है कि देयर जॉब, और 70 तो होंगे ही एटलीस्ट, जिनका जॉब होगा कि दे नीड टू गो एंड solve distributor problems or basically influence distributors, because their business comes from there.
Okay, so we have talked about multiple things, and on all the factors expert is winning. We are talking about expert a lot, but I believe there are certain concerns when it comes to expert.
Yeah.
Because it's, at the end of the day, it's an individual. And what if, like, let's say I have an expert with 20 years of experience. What if after 5 years, 20 years of experience, it will be 50, right? After 10 years, he or she gets retired. Or God forbid, something happened to him or her.
Yeah.
Then what will happen to me?
Yeah, so that is an issue, definitely. So if you look at it from an institutional support point of view, right, then that is a problem. That if that person, let's say, there are customers who have asked this question, that my advisor is 20 years elder to me, what if we, and I'm buying term insurance from him, how will he provide me claim support because he may pass away before me?
Before me, yes.
So ये fair ask है, fair question है. And definitely this is a drawback when you buy from an expert, that you may end up basically not having a support after some years if that person either retires or passes away, or basically what else? Meaning, I think, yeah, these two things happen, right? So from that perspective, even though this happens, I would still basically recommend people going with an expert in their area if there's possibilities that are available, because whatever handholding that they will get when they're buying the policy, and the handholding that they get while the advisor is available, cannot be compared or substituted by any other player like we saw right now, right? And a lot of times what happens is that someone else takes over that business, right? Or a lot of times it also happens that there is a second generation or the third generation of the family who takes over the business. In those situations, you could be fortunate that someone else is picking up the business. But yes, this is a risk in this entire thing. Like when you buy from an expert, this could be the case. At Beshak, we've solved this. So what we've done is that at Beshak, what we do is, if you deal with an expert who's on our platform, we've curated these experts because we kept getting questions from our from a lot of people that hey, expert आप करते रहते हो, but expert मिलेगा कहाँ से? So that's why we found these experts and we started listing them on our platform, right? And these experts, whoever are getting listed on our platform, if the customer buys from these experts and it is recorded as a purchase of policy on our platform, then we ensure that they will get service. Like the customer will get service at any cost, right? तो वो हम करते हैं. But अगर आप directly ले रहे हो कोई expert से आपके area में, तो आप उनसे क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हो ये कि आपके बाद क्या करोगे आप, who will handle my case. So he should basically be able to give you an answer. Most of them are planning to corporatize it. A lot of advisors I speak to are trying to see that, you know, even if they retire, there will be someone else who can take care of it. Like some employee in their company, they're training to take over the business and probably they'll pay a good share to them and then they will retire. बहुत अच्छे advisors ये सब कर रहे हैं, right? But not everybody. So this is a right question to ask, and you should ask this question to the expert for sure.
Got it. Understood. So I understood the. Let's quickly, if you can summarize the biggest challenges for all these platforms for the handholding during claims.
Yeah.
You have told,
Yeah.
but if quickly, if you can tell, for expert, I got to know this.
Right.
This is one of the biggest challenges,
Yeah.
right? For all other platforms, if quickly, one biggest challenge.
Yeah. So for most of them, it is the problem of scale, right? Because you are going to handle so many cases, you will put a call center, and because you will put a call center, that person in the call center will basically look at you as one phone number or one ticket that they have got as a support request ticket, and that basically becomes the problem. In case of banks, like I said, they are not equipped to either help you at the time of claims or give you any kind of opinion at the time of claims. So that is all automatically out. But others like a aggregator who's a comparison website or an insurance company directly, the problems that exist are scale problems, basically where you are dealing with a call center. Insurance company में एक additional problem है, which I already mentioned, that there is a conflict of interest. Yeah.
Got it. So got a clear understanding of handholding during claims. Also, like we understood, one of the biggest challenges from the expert point of view.
Yeah.
Right. So now let's come to the last part, which is the cost. Because the product is the same. Right? If I buy it through comparison website, through an insurance company, through the agent, through expert, right? Through banks, the product will remain the same. Will the prices vary if I choose a specific platform?
Yeah, so if you buy directly from an insurance company's website, the price could be lesser because the insurance company may offer some kind of discount because you're basically skipping the middleman. So they'll give you a discount like any other manufacturer will give you a discount when you go directly to them. So वो available है, but it obviously comes at a cost, right? Because when you buy directly from the insurance company, then you do not have anybody at the time of claims to be on your side.
Yes.
So वो एक आपको pros and cons समझ के decide करना है.
Got it. And what about the other platforms?
All the other platforms, like for example, comparison platforms also today negotiate rates with insurance companies, and they could offer the same rates that are available on direct platforms. On the insurance companies' platforms are also available on their platform also. So the rates in an insurance company's platform and a large aggregator comparison websites platform could be same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But experts could have a little higher rate Agents could have a little higher rate. Banks probably may have the similar rate to an agent and an expert that way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically,
Insurance company and aggregators or comparison websites could have a little lower rate.
okay.
So whenever you're doing a decision making on this, do that entire pros and cons of what are you making. A lot of customers just randomly just look at the discount and get attracted to it and take a decision. Don't take a decision which is so simple. It's not a simple decision. Understand the entire gamut of services that you will get when you're basically dealing with a person who will help you at the time of claims and someone who is on your side, right? And who, for that person also, it makes a lot of difference that your claim gets paid. So that is skin in the game.
100%. It's just basically the trade-off. Ki wo,
Yeah.
The first the first
Yeah.
4 factors
Yeah.
they should see, or the last factor which
राइट
is
तो
price.
एक कॉल सेंटर है जिसमें बहुत सारे CAs है, राइट, और वो CAs एम्प्लॉइज है और आप किसी को जानते नहीं हो नाम से, वर्सेस एक CA है जो आपके बिल्डिंग में आपके एरिया में रहता है. दोनों में से एक चूज करना है. और वो जो कॉल सेंटर वाला जो CA है आपको डिस्काउंट में भी दे रहा है, तो विल यू गो विद दैट पर्सन बिकॉज दैट पर्सन में लीव द जॉब, दैट पर्सन इज नॉट रियली कनेक्टेड टू यू, दैट पर्सन's फ्यूचर डज नॉट डिपेंड अपॉन योर, आपका रिटर्न सही से फाइल हो गया नहीं हो. Same example is here, like in insurance also, even if there are a large number of good experts that a company is having, let's say they are actually not experts but they call them experts there, but that person finally has no connect with you and at the time of claims he may not be there also.
100%.
So वो बहुत बड़ा issue है.
Okay. So this was a good session. I hope people out there, you would have gained some knowledge and gained insights to how to choose the right place or platform while purchasing the policy. So final question to you, Mahavir. There are challenges with all the platforms. Definitely with the expert also we saw one of the challenge, right? How you as the founder of Beshak, you have solved for this, because we are an expert platform.
Yeah.
How you have solved for these things?
Yeah. Thank you for asking this question. So first thing is that when an expert basically comes to you directly, right, they do not have a, like I had mentioned, they do not have a sophisticated tool to help you understand which product to buy, not buy. The need analysis is also done very informally by speaking to you. What we have done is that we have created a tool which is called TrueMatch, right, which you would obviously be aware of, जहाँ पे आप खाली डिटेल्स डाल दो, आप 2-3 मिनट में आपको एक प्रॉपर रिपोर्ट मिल जाता है कि विच प्रोडक्ट टू बाय. सो दैट एंटायर sophistication of the advice that you get, that basically Beshak powers for these advisors, so that the advisors can focus on hand holding, right? तो वो एक पहला चीज़ है, which basically if the experts did not have this and we powered them with this. The second basically thing is that, like you had mentioned some time ago only, that if the expert is not available, then what happens? In those specific situations is where basically Beshak steps in and Beshak's community steps in. So we have a community of advisors, right? Today around 250 advisors का community है हमारा, which works together if there is a problem that one expert faces and that expert is not available or is not able to solve it or does not have the understanding of a particular scenario, then there are another 150-200 experts who basically pitch in and tell them that in this kind of scenario you should do this, or talk to this person, or write to this email address. All those interventions happen. So the community plus the institution of Beshak comes together to ensure that even if an expert is not available, you as a customer will never be alone. You will always have the help available. So it's the right combination of getting sophisticated, research-backed recommendations so that you don't buy the wrong product. Get an expert who basically has the skin in the game to ensure that you're getting the right handholding, get the right time of at the time of buying the policy and at the time of claims. Third, a full community and an institution to back this expert to ensure that if that expert is not available, then the community and the institution basically comes to play and ensure that things work.
Okay, so Mahavir, I literally got immense clarity where to purchase the policy from. And for the people out there who might be wondering ki why I have kept a small fish here, so this we call fishy fish, and it was kept here to just make the sound whenever I do not understand anything. But throughout this entire podcast, I never felt the requirement of this fishy fish, because it was so easy to understand ki where should I purchase the policy from. That being said, if you still are facing any confusion, if you are in dilemma ki where should you purchase the policy from, even after listening to this podcast, do reach out to us and we'll make sure that we help you out in every possible way. It is very, very important to choose where you are purchasing the policy from, as important as having one. That being said, stay insured, stay informed.